model car cabinet that I've got. Found these new Mk2 Escort Hot Wheels, Mk2 Escort RS2000. I can drive the car because in the past, at drift days, I've had the boot come open. I think I use cardboard rather than sheet because if the sheet touches the hot manifold, that'll be messy. I did buy some roller trays the other day, but I can't find them. Trying to improve the shape of the boot spoiler. Burning through here with the flat wheel. I think it's going to look pretty cool. So do let me know what you reckon. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes and today I'm going to be continuing with what I started in the last video on Maude, my moredoor Mk2 Escort. But first, I've got something to show you that I forgot to show you at the end of the last video. Now, if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you would have seen this cabinet before, my model car cabinet that I've got in my living room. I'm not a massive model car collector, to be honest. In fact, a lot of these models are what some of you guys have very kindly sent me. I did used to collect the Ford Royal Mail vans back in the day because I used to work for Royal Mail, and I used to spend quite a lot of time hunting down the Hot Wheels Mk2 Escort models. I've got about 50 Mk2 Escort Hot Wheels tucked away, still in their packets, and yeah, I've just got one of each colour displayed in this cabinet. I think I've actually only got this one of the yellow ones, but yeah, the others I've got various quantities of each. But quite recently I randomly decided to have a look through the Hot Wheels in my local Audi store, and I'm so glad that I did, because I found 4 of these new Mk2 Escort Hot Wheels. I'm guessing they're new because I'd never seen them until very recently. And then I found another 2 in another supermarket a couple of days later. So yeah, I've got these 5 in the packets and I've got 1 in my cabinet. And next to that, you'll see that I've got an X-Pack Mk2 Escort RS2000 Hot Wheels. And I didn't even know that they did Mk2 Escort Hot Wheels apart from this one in this set. And this set actually wasn't available in the UK, or it wasn't when I got it anyway. I got it from overseas. After one of you guys, I think in Australia, let me know about that set. So yeah, I'm now hunting the Hot Wheels again. I want to get as many of these new Mark 1s as I can, and as many of these Mk2 Escorts as I can. Now this cabinet is actually going to be moved today. I think my beautiful girlfriend Kat's going to put it next to her cabinet because today she wants to put the Christmas decorations up and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to get out of her way while she's doing that. I need to head to the post office to post out some of your merchandise orders, and then I'm going to get myself round to the garage with Maude, and I'm hoping to get her back on the road so that I can go to a car meet tomorrow. Oh, I also found these couple of really cool Sierra Cozzies. Now what I want to crack on with first is actually getting the signal blue paint on Maude's bonnet. Because I want to take Maude to a car meet tomorrow, it means I'm going to have to refit the bonnet pins. So to save me having to drill the rivets back out again to paint the bonnet blue, I want to crack on with that today, and hopefully the paint will just about dry in time for me to drive the car tomorrow. And if you watched the last video, you'll know that I fitted the boot lock into the boot. So even though I don't have the straps fitted on the boot at the moment, I can drive the car because the boot now stays down. But I will be refitting those boot straps just to give her the rally look, and because in the past at drift days I've had the boot come open. So yeah, I don't fully trust the boot lock. Anyway, back to the bonnet. I have already sprayed a little bit of etch primer in this area because there was some yellow paint in there. Obviously when this bonnet got sprayed, you know, some of the yellow went in there, and because I've rollered the primer on this bonnet, obviously wasn't able to get the grey primer in there. I'm fully expecting the etch primer to react with that paint, because I think it is 2-pack. But yeah, I just want to make it blue in there to take your eye off it. I've also sprayed a bit of that etch primer around a few areas where the primer looked a bit thin, and especially over here, because I actually forgot to re-primer that bit when I flatted back certain patches on the bonnet. So I want to get this paint on the bonnet as quick as I can. I already have been running the engine for a while just to warm the bonnet up slightly and to dry the etch primer that I sprayed on a little while ago. But yeah, I'm literally going to tickle these bits a little bit with some 320 sandpaper and then give the whole bonnet a clean. I will put a sheet over the engine just to make sure that blue paint doesn't go through the holes onto anything. And yeah, I'm just going to get the roller out and chuck this blue paint on the bonnet. So let's cue the music. I think I'll use cardboard rather than sheet, because if the sheet touches the hot manifold, that could be messy. Whereas this cardboard will stay nice and flat just where I want it. I did buy some roller trays the other day, but I can't find it. So this thing will have to do. First things first, we'll poke some into these holes. Alright, so the bonnet is painted. I hope you can hear me properly. I'm just running the engine to get some sort of heat in the bonnet, which should help the paint dry. I have, of course, removed the cardboard that was in there. But yeah, it looks rubbish, which is to be expected when you're painting your car with a roller. It'll always look a bit better once the paint mattes off, because it is, of course, matte paint. And I'm hoping that the colour match will be a bit better when the paint's dry as well. So fingers crossed that will actually dry enough for me to quickly bung the bonnet pins on later or tomorrow morning to get Maude to this meet. But yeah, right now I'm going to crack back on with her boot lid. First of all, I'm just going to knock this bit of fiberglass filler down that I put in earlier on. I was planning to put some normal body filler in afterwards, but I think I'm actually going to lazy out and just go straight over this with the primer. I'll probably end up putting 2 coats of primer on at least that lower bit of the boot, just to fill in any pinholes or whatever from where I've been doing the filler work. I have actually just gone over with this whole boot with this 60 grit sandpaper. This isn't even for cars really, it's just DIY household stuff, really rough. And yeah, I thought I'd rough the boot lid up a little bit more than I roughed the bonnet up, because when I put the primer on the bonnet, it just seemed like it was a little bit too smooth. I used 180 grit for that. So yeah, the primer should in theory stick a bit better to the boot lid. I did also go over the spoiler area with that 60 grit, but then I went back over with the 180 because this needs to be semi-smooth, because I'm going to be spraying the spoiler black with spray cans, whereas the boot lid will obviously be rollered. So I think I'm actually going to try and throw some primer on this boot lid before I leave here today. Bit risky because, you know, that needs to at least semi-dry so that I can take the car to the meet tomorrow. I have just noticed there's an area here that's definitely going to need some sort of body filler or fiberglass filler in it. But yeah, I can always put a skim of filler in that on top of the primer. It's not a massive deal. I have just given the boot lid a wipe just with a wet microfiber. I don't have any of the paint preparation wipes left. So yeah, I'll just let that dry off. And then I think I'm going to try and dust some spray etch primer on the spoiler area. Hopefully it won't react with whatever products have already been put on it in the past. And then once that mattes off, I'll roller on some of this Halford's primer on this bit and this bit of the boot lid. What an absolute minter. Certified show car, Concours d'Elegance. The next day, the bonnet was just about dry enough for me to reinstall the bonnet pins. And the boot was dry enough for the lock to go in. And I was able to take Maude to the car meet. The day after the meet, I cracked on with what I said I wasn't going to bother doing by trying to improve the shape of the boot spoiler. And then I spent days and days fillering, sanding, and finally priming the boot spoiler. And then after a little bit more filler in the pinholes and some more sanding, and then a little bit of spray-on primer, I was able to paint the spoiler black. Hello, so it's been days and days since I painted Maude's bonnet, and yeah, I've been really struggling to get paint and filler to dry, which is of course to be expected when you're working out in the cold. Fortunately, Maude's bonnet did dry enough for me to get the bonnet pins fitted the day after, and I was able to take Maude to the car meet as planned, and you'll be able to see that in the next video. Now, I have actually redone the bonnet pin on this side. I found that when I did this side, the holes were really big in the plate and the bonnet, so I had to use really big rivets. So yeah, I ended up redoing this one just so that the rivets are the same size each side. You can see that the plate has got some paint chipped off when I was putting the rivets in. I'm not sure whether I should just mask up the bonnet and maybe paint it all black so that the rivets are black, or maybe I'll replace the rivets for black ones, and while it's off maybe repaint this plate. Not sure, but the bonnet now does at least work, and yeah, it looks pretty cool from a distance. Most of the grief I've been having over the last few days is with Maude's boot lid. Now the spoiler is now painted black. Did this last night in the cold. Not ideal, but I knew that if I wanted to put the blue on today, I was going to have to paint it yesterday. So yeah, all I need to do now is paint the blue bits of the boot lid, and I think it will look really cool after that. Now I did end up digging out this area, which I said I wasn't going to do, and yeah, it made a hole, and then I had to spend ages putting fiberglass and filler in it and sanding it to get it flat again. But yeah, that bulge was really bothering me, and I actually found another bulge around here, and I dug that out, and that turned out to be a right mess. Massive hole like this. I had to put a bit of cardboard in there first and then put fiberglass filler over it. So yeah, I really do wish I never bothered trying to improve this spoiler. It still doesn't look great. This sort of swage line you've got here goes along and then it goes down in the middle. But yeah, it looks black, and from a distance it will look fine. Oh, when I was actually digging out that massive hole, I sort of went in there with a flap wheel, and I was, you know, hitting all the foam that's inside there and trying to, you know, lift it out with my hands, and I actually ended up burning through here with the flap wheel and also around here, and obviously filled that. And yeah, I'll have to repair that at some point. I'll probably just shove a hoover in there to get all the loose foam out first. So yeah, this has been an absolute mission. This boot lid was really cheap, but yeah, would have been a lot less hassle if I just went and bought a new one, but it's all good. So right now I'm gonna get the roller and the blue paint out and paint the other bits of the boot lid, and then I can get myself home in the warm. See a blue tinge there. I hit it with the roller, and because the black paint essentially isn't dry properly, I wasn't able to just clean it off. And the masking line isn't great. Got a tiny bit of grey in between the black and blue there. Another tiny bit there. Yeah, masking line isn't great around this side either, but it'll do. Alright, so into another new day, and I've come around the garage quickly just to see how well or not the paint has dried on the boot lid. It's sort of matted off, but I don't want to go touching it or anything. It probably isn't properly dry. In fact, I just gave the spoiler a little wipe with a wet rag, and yeah, there was black on the rag, so even that hasn't dried properly. But once it does fully dry and I'm able to give the car a bit of a wash, I think it's going to look pretty cool. Now, apologies to all you guys that would have preferred me to paint the car to match the yellowy orange panels, but yeah, Maude won't be staying blue forever. I'm probably going to repaint her a different colour again next spring or summer, but we'll see what happens. Now, I still do need to put the mesh on the bonnet underneath this area, and this area, but I'll crack on with that in the not too distant future. The next video is going to be the car meet that I took Maude to the other day, and I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say it's twice in a row now I've tried to take her to a West London Classic Ford meet and she's broke down. So you'll see all about that in the next video, but the next video I'm filming, I need to obviously try and solve that issue that we had on that day, and hopefully I'll also have time to put the mesh on the bonnet as well. Now, the guy who really wanted me to paint the filler cap black also asked me if I'm going to paint the boot lock black, which I haven't reinstalled yet, and yes, I am going to paint that black. I'm also going to drill these rivets out and take these bits off and paint those black. So yeah, don't worry, those bits will also match Maude's colour scheme very soon. But yeah, I'm probably going to leave Maude alone now, at least for a few days, just to give the paint a bit of a chance to dry better. Although I think I am going to pick up some sort of shelving or something for this garage. Got a load of stuff just stacked up here and on the floor and everywhere, just where I haven't got room for everything. So, you know, all the stuff I've been using over the last week or so, I've just been piling up. Maude's boot is also full of loads of painting stuff. So yeah, that will give me something to do whilst I'm not necessarily working on the car. But yeah, the weather is pretty grim at the moment. I'm not going to let it stop me though, you know, I need to keep busy. Need to keep cracking on, keep working on the cars, keep putting out videos. But yeah, I always get to this time of year and just wish I did more in the summer, but you know, it's never ending. But I absolutely love it. So do let me know what you reckon of my bodge up paint job on Maude. And as always, if you did think this video is any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe if you're new to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to follow me on social media. I'll leave a link to my own website down there for any of you guys that want to check out my regular blog posts or get your hands on some official Marcus Hayes merchandise. Massive thanks as always to all my patrons for your ongoing support. I'll leave a link to my Patreon in the description for anyone else who wants to jump on it. And as always, I'll leave my email address in the description for anyone who wants to contact me. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.